Maybe it was love at first sight, or maybe it was something more. I don't care. None of that matters. I'm not interested. Sorry. Hey internet, it's Jessica and welcome back to Red Embrace Hollywood. So, let's see where our adventure takes us now. As soon as I closed the door, he took off towards Santa Monica, weaving through the hectic evening traffic. My mission seemed pretty straightforward, unlike the other night's sewer crawl. Once I found the humans, I just have to scare or coax them away. By any means necessary, Sherez had said. I hope I don't have to kill anyone. Because it's sounding like she's gonna make me kill someone. Because, like, again, we're trying to protect the vampires of LA. And I understand that, but I don't know if I would want my character to do that. After we pulled up by the pier, I hopped out of the car and made my way down to the beach, scanning the dunes for any mortals with cameras. Sure enough, I didn't have to search very far. Marching down the shoreline was a group of young men hauling TV equipment, eagerly shouting and pointing at various innocent beachgoers. Their hungry camera lenses swivel all around, just like a bunch of zero-prodders looking for Kennedys. Sherez said Randall's beach house was nearby, so I had to do something before they reached it. After I observed the men for a short while, I decided the best way to deal with them would be to... Oh my god, it's you! Suddenly, a thrilled voice cried out from behind me. I turned to see a young man rushing forward through the sand. Wait, is this the guy that I bit? Because I needed blood? An uncomfortably familiar young man. I can't believe it. I thought I'd never see you again. But here you are, and here I am, just like it's destiny or something. Wow. It was the same mortal I had fed on my second night. You remember me? This is not the droid you're looking for. Oh no. You remember me? I thought they don't, because isn't that what Sherez said? Or Markus? Maybe Markus freaking lied to me, didn't he? He lied. Yeah, of course. It's only been a few days. Why wouldn't I remember you? He seemed puzzled, head tilting to the side like a curious dog. This didn't make any sense. Hadn't Sherez said that humans forget everything leading up to the bite? But this human scent wasn't like any others I'd smell. It was oddly sweet, different from the salty sea air or the stench of the unwashed mortals nearby. Was he special or somehow? Oh, I should probably introduce myself, huh? My name's David. I work for this photo crew, part of the tabloid my dad owns. Oh, that's probably why they're after the vampires, because I bit him, and now he's just like, oh yeah, a vampire bit me. He gestured towards the group in the distance, looking slightly embarrassed. I convinced them to come out here at night to look for you, actually. To look for me, but you're not here for revenge, are you? That's a horrible idea. You're in a lot of danger. Get the hell out of here before something bad happens. No, you're in a lot of danger. Danger? From what? Unless you mean, oh, don't worry about that. I've always liked people who were dark and mysterious. Is he flirting with me? What is he doing? He averted his eyes bashfully, as if hoping that he would hide the pink tint on his cheeks. Oh my god, he's flirting! The other night, I woke up in the dark and it was so warm. I thought I was dead. I didn't know what had happened to me. But then it all flooded back. You were so good to me, the way you took me somewhere safe and covered me up. His voice trembled with awe and adoration. I don't really understand what you are or what you did to me, but after that night, I can't stop thinking about you, how amazing it all was. There was a certain dazed dreaminess in his voice and eyes. He looked at me like I was his hero, rock star, movie star, someone larger than life. Are you saying you want me to do it again? David, go home and forget that any of this happened. You got some serious issues. Okay, you seem like a nice kid. He's acting like a kid, but like, go home. No, I don't want to forget it. You don't understand how much you mean to me. Maybe it was love at first sight, or maybe it was something more. I don't care. None of that matters. I'm not interested. Sorry. All I know is that I need to be with you. I need you to take what you want from me again, or else? Or else? I don't know, I might go crazy. He was so full of passion, almost too innocent to be real, like a snowflake before it lands in the dirt. I could barely believe it, but he really did seem completely in love with me. Why? Or if not with me, with the sensation I gave him. Well, we described it when we got bit in the beginning of the game. We described it as something like the best thing that's ever happened to us, more than drugs and sex and all that kind of stuff, right? So I guess it's more of an addiction, right? Not they're in love with us, they're in love with us biting them. If you want to be mine, I can take you, alright, I'll take you in. I can't, David, I'm sorry, it's too... No offense, I don't want this, you're gonna have to leave, dude. Please! I mean, please don't send me away. Panic flickers in his eyes. I can take care of myself, and I promise I'll make everything worth it. Please? Well, if you're completely sure, then alright. No, we should go home and pretend this never happened. Also, considering he's working with the tabloids, it's not a good idea, so I gotta protect the group. He looked utterly devastated, like I just shattered his life's dreams into a million pieces. His eyes darted up to meet mine one last time, searching for some trace of hesitance or second-guessing. Finally, he gave a defeated exhale. As he turned around, I saw one of his hands curl tightly into a fist, but he didn't say anything. He didn't even look back at me. Instead, he plodded off towards his hollering group in the distance. He tilted his head back to face the moon. What an emo! God! I watched as he rejoined the others, murmuring something to them that caused an outbreak of groans and whines. But eventually, the group began to head back to the way they came, leaving the Mavar hideout safely behind. Even if David knew what I was, no one would believe him, so I wouldn't be worried. Still, his frantic adoration was a little haunting, and I had to wonder if my words had made any impact on him. I hope so. What if he comes back and like, ugh. I returned to the hotel, a little surprised at how easy the whole affair had been. No one had been hurt, although David's heart was probably smashed into pieces. At least it was in a poetic sense, but not literally. Unlike the other night, Shiraz was already sitting in the hotel meeting room. She was on the phone with someone, though she had held up a finger to keep me quiet. Yes, I'll arrange it. No, it won't be here at Hollywood Heights. What? No, human baggage, thank you. I'm sure he can look after himself for a few days. Yes. No, I really don't know. Very well, goodbye. She forcefully clamped down on the receiver, letting one disgruntled sigh. The idiot can't even deal with his own coven. As if my hands aren't full enough right now either. Everyone always needs something without a fail. Rising to her feet, Shiraz strode over towards me, clearing her throat deliberately. Well, since you're back, Bella, I assume you took care of the problem? Simple, you won't have to worry about it again, I think I did. Thanks for... I'll just say you don't have to worry about it. I don't want to talk about it. Again, I'm trying to keep myself guarded, but like, why does she lie about like they forget? Unless he's a special case, that's the thing. Excellent news. It may have seemed like a trivial task, but in the encroaching digital age, hiding her presence from mortals is growing increasingly difficult. Someone is always watching. Now, your next job involves further diplomacy, and fortunately for you, no sewers. As always, she coaxed onto my next duties in her peculiar, impatient tone. However, it does involve returning to a place that may be all too familiar. The Abattoir, the same club where your sire visited you. Alright, what do I have to do? That's fine with me. It has great aesthetic going on. Good, maybe I'll get a chance to find the guy who turned me. Sure, what's going on over there? Shiraz raised an eyebrow at me. Was she expecting a stronger reaction? The Abattoir seems many rich and powerful clientele, both human and vampire, each looking to fulfill their own depraved desires. I'm sure you know how clubs are. With initiation lowered to desire heightens, information is always bound to flow freely. Because the Abattoir is a neutral ground, just like a Heat's bar, all matters of vampire are frequently visitors. Thus, it is important we learn about anything they might let slip. Not silently, doesn't that defeat the whole point of the neutral ground? Don't tell me you're sending me on a spy mission! That was not on my agenda, no. All I need you to do is to convince one of the club's managers, Alusha, to deliver regular reports to us. I heard she was the partner, the blood pet of a Mavar, so she already is aware of the political situation. I'm sure she can and I can do agreement. If she's human, could we just use our powers to win her over? What if she's already delivering reports to the Mavar? Yeah, what about that? Then remind her that the Isakari are better patrons, and we will remember who aided us, and who stood against us when this war is over. However, keep in mind that Alusha is a very witful woman. She's highly capable for mortals and very knowledgeable of our own unique abilities. I doubt simple force would be effective, and the last thing I want for her to end up working against us. Nor do we want her frightened by any peculiar behavior. Something to keep in mind, perhaps. Okay, so I just basically don't be like a vampire around her. With a deep inhale, Therese drew herself up slightly, glancing towards the wall clock. It was not so subtle hint that our meeting had come to an end. I'd like you to deliver your report within the next few days, Bella. Until then, do stay out of unnecessary trouble. Leaving me with those pointed words, she made a swift exit. Even though my task that night was over, there was still plenty of time until sunrise. Marcus's earlier advice resurfaced in my mind. Maybe now was a good time to start scoping out the other vampires in LA. Yeah, let's go explore. Why not? I stepped out of the hotel into the cool night air. There was a few places I could visit tonight. Salarina Beach House, Blood and Roses. Go to Blood and Roses. It seemed like a good time to pay Marcus a visit. I could stop by whenever I wanted to, after all. I need to see him, okay? Like, we were making progress with our relationship. I just need to know where he stands with us. Wandering into the shop staff, I found my way over the counter. Marcus was casually leaning against it with one elbow, flipping through a magazine. There was no way he hadn't noticed me, but he still didn't look up. Evening, Marcus, I stopped by to chat. What are you reading? Watch him. I don't want to be a creep. I know I'm a vampire, but what are you reading? The TV guide. I often prefer the guide over the real programs. You read the TV guide? Why? You don't even need a TV. Marcus finally lifted his head, giving me a curious look, so that it soon morphed into a smile. Ah, Bella, I was expecting you tonight. You were? Why? Well, you know, I don't like to disappoint. That sounds a little ominous. I don't like to disappoint, especially you, Marcus. Why, you should disappoint people a little now and then, just to keep them on their toes. He rubbed his thumb along the magazine's cover, chuckling to himself. Well, business is rather slow, as you can see. Is there anything I could do for you? Perhaps a peculiar topic you want to discuss? I have many ears, and all of them are yours in this very moment. Question about you, about someone else. Hey, about you! Why are you wearing sunglasses at night? They're to make people feel smart when they so cleverly pick up on the irony. After all, a simple fashion statement would just be too ingenious with my elusive nature. Next question. Why'd you decide to run a sex shop? My reasoning is rather simple. The more sordid and visceral something is, the more society, its moral labels as a taboo, the more it fascinates the repressed masses. Turn on the TV or read news and see yourself. Rock and roll, Kennedy's assassination tape, the Manson murders, Dracula, Kurt Cobain, the crucifixion most famously. He gestures towards the television screen above the counter, its picture sizzling, buzzing with static. Nothing is more tantalizing than natural instincts we're made to feel guilty for: sex, violence, and power. I guess that's true, right? Myself, I find sexuality to be the most interesting and easily exploitable of mankind's desires. And so, I've set up my own charming little shop, which serves as a dual purpose of providing modest income, while also constructing a psychological exhibit for me to study. It's also quite amusing to force the city leaders into visiting me here. Nobody can act truly high and mighty among a sea of plausibles. Plausible, see? My god, what a missed opportunity. How old are you exactly? Well, as a man of the past, the present, and the future, that question is a mighty difficult one. Let's just do away with the bothersome numbers and say I am however old you believe me to be. I want to ask him that, but I think that's the whole point of his character, isn't it? He's asking questions to make us think on purpose. Also, I think because he's also trying to evade, like, the truth about himself too, you know? So, let me ask him. Because it's important to spread confusion, not eliminate it. Confusion, after all, is the only thing that makes people think. He gave a short, satisfying nod. Are you allied with the leaders? Have you already forgotten my advice, sister? A smart man doesn't hitch a ride, wheels break down, but the will to keep walking, never. So you double cross everyone? I don't know, I'll just say, I think it's hard to, like, be neutral because everyone is, like, so, you know, clashing together. Oh, it is indeed, but I am no mere bystander. Marcus clicked his tongue, quirking a brow at me. The truth of the matter is, I contribute to every side and I assist none. Like all supposedly philanthropic causes, they hold no meaning for me. Once upon a time, I pretended to care most people do, but no longer. His gaze drifted idly away as if the subject had somehow lost his interest. What do your Golgotha visions look like? My vision, dearest Bella, are potential of what may be there. what exists in the other realities but is not yet discovered by our own. After all, we merely skim on the topmost layer of existence, though on occasion, a mind can look past it. He stared off into space for a long pause, collecting his thoughts before continuing. In the grand scheme of time, we've only just discovered the subatomic and the distant skies, and only because these things allow themselves to discover by our eyes. How many times other things are invisible to all our senses, to all the paltry working of science? How many things exist beyond our clumsy self-important ideas of metaphysical ghosts and deities bored enough to obsess over our tiny shelves? How many things are out there that we just cannot comprehend? In the centuries to come, we'll look back on ourselves like what we have time and time again, and smile at our quaint ideas. Smile at the idea of religion like we now smile at little children. Smile at the gravity like we now smile at those who thought the world was flat. Smile at simple moralities like we smile at apes. Markus let out a faint chuckle, but it sounded more wistful than mocking. My vision allows me to see these alternate futures laid upon our own, and it's always quite distressing. Good and evil were always what they are now, nor will they be the same in 100 years. Thus it seems folly to me, as a man for all ages, to chain myself to some mortal rock of the century. We look back on the atrocities of the early days and say times were different then, but I desire to look from the future to the present to see what we'll one day consider primitive and backwards thinking, these outdated ideas we carried past their lifetime. What are your own morals then? I see you've got some interesting idea. You see, this man always talks in real. I get what he's trying to say, but like, why do you gotta say it like that? What are your own morals then? Quite simple. Do as one pleases, and do unto others as they've done unto you. Treasures and project those who brought you delight, but love and hate carefully, for those passions lose their meaning when tossed forth without care. But there is one thing I will never ever abide, the abuse of innocence, children and the childlike, and pets who are children in their own ways. There's a difference between— oh, that's why he was so angry about the kitties earlier. Remember when he made that comment about cats? He loves animals! There's a difference between the strong ruling the weak and the strong abusing those who cannot defend themselves. That is not strength for their nothing noble, exercising power on the defenseless. Such abusers are simply weak themselves, perpetuating a cycle they too endured. But I believe there should be discarded to build a stronger society. He ended with a note of bitterness in his voice, staring at the carpet. Do you know how vampire physiologically works? Ah yes, the most lucrative questions that everybody's simply dying to know. Markus let out a gentle sigh. We can replicate most of human biology without too much effort, but it is not the subconscious affair like breathing was immortal. Producing arousal usually requires concentration or mental attunement, the subject willing their blood flow downwards. Blushing is also possible. In fact, okay, so basically he's saying vampires can get that's basically what he said there. Blushing is also possible. In fact, what kind of pathetically cutesy creature would choose to blush on purpose? That is his entire view of its charm, so you'll almost never find a vampire shamelessly pretentious. Though I suppose there are exceptions. What do you think of Heath? He's a lost boy, if I've ever seen one. A circular block that can't fit in a square slot. And a star child who doesn't understand our world. Alas, self-loathing is just another form of narcissism, perhaps even the most severe form. Absorbed in self-pity misery, your thoughts always focus on your own depression. I guess? Yeah, self-loathing in a way, yeah. It's like you're focusing on yourself too, right? It is somewhat, in a way, like narcissism, but in a smaller scale, because it's like internalized. When narcissistic people like express themselves that way, they're very vocal about it. So yeah, I guess in a way it kind of is. Never thought of it like that. That's why use of drugs is constant, though most of them aren't narcotics for the bloodstream, for drugs come in many forms: television, movies, video games, sleep, celebrities, music, everything we use to escape. What about Randall? Randall said he liked him. Remember that? Randall said he thought Markus was actually a nice guy, very thoughtful. He doesn't get why he wears his sunglasses, but he respects him. He's emerging from a cocoon, struggling to free himself. Some nights I don't know which holds more terrifying potential, Randall or his followers. Each one may be a gentle lamb full of kind intentions and innocent desires for safety, for freedom. A person is intelligent and wise, but people so easily become packed of animals, a hive mind feeding off each other's fear and hatred for the enemy. That's all I can ever say. What about Shreds? I've always had an unusual fondness for the Red Queen. She possesses both the kindest and cruelest hearts of any vampire in Hollywood. Her protective desire clashes with visions of utopia. Though she longs to fix the broken wounded, all she knows is how to destroy it. I will always admire the beauty of her vulnerable soul. Alright, I guess that's all I have for now. Very well. We'll see each other again soon, I'm sure. Leaving Markus's shop, I return to the dark streets. I guess we're just gonna go to everyone's, thing? Maybe let's go see Heath. I haven't seen the other characters. I know I'm doing Markus's route, but maybe we should talk to the others? Deciding to pay Saturnalia a visit, I hopped in a taxi and drive downtown. Luckily, my driver knew where to find the bar, and we pulled up in the front of its fading wooden sign a short while later. Whoa, this place looks a little bit dingy. The bar I stepped into was dim, slightly cramped, and flecked with low conversation. Something about it felt faded, like the original sign, or the lonely patrons sitting in the corners, or the glints of light that flicker through the window. If I listened closely, I could almost hear the laughter of glamorous stars, the cheerful records that they danced to, the echo of a distant memory. I guess this is kind of part of our vision, right? I glanced around at the night's patrons and noticed two interesting groups standing in different spots. A cluster of young-looking vampires by the bar, giggling and restlessly shifting in their seats, and some reserved, well-dressed Sakari murmuring in a quiet corner, looking like they didn't want to be disturbed. Heath was there too, lingering quietly behind the bar as he wiped the glass out. Let's talk to Heath. I stepped into the bar, waiting to catch Heath's attention. He stayed lost in his thoughts for a short while longer, his glazed eyes starting to off to nowhere in particular. But soon enough, our gazes finally met. Almost instantly, Heath broke into a smile, putting the glass down and stepping towards me. Bella, you came by after all. It seems like you and Markus didn't run into any problems. I'm so glad. Hi Heath, how you been? Hi, just thought I'd stop in. I wanted to talk about something. Ask how you doing? I've been fine. I've been just fine, thank you. No, it's not that completely true. I've been a little worried about you. I'm sure you're still adapting to our world, trying to understand all of its confusing people and parts. No matter how strong you are, it's hard to feel not overwhelmed sometimes. So if there's anything you want to ask me, Bella, please do. What are your house powers like? Well, I have a little skill in glamour, the Istakari ability to take on someone else's appearance. But I have never been able to use hypnosis. Maybe it's because I'm still young, or I just don't have the talent for it. He fluttered a small, self-deprecating chuckle. Like you, I didn't even have a mentor when I turned. Everything I learned I had to teach myself, mostly. Glamour came to me quickly, but every time I used it, I get this strange feeling afterwards, so I don't practice it often. That's all there is. I don't think there's many of my powers very much. I prefer never using them. He rubbed a finger along his cheek, gently shaking his head. Okay, have you ever turned another vampire? Heath quickly shook his head, looking a little distressed at the very thought. No, never. I don't ever want to either. Having to take somebody's life and then pulling them into our world forever? I just couldn't. So that shudder ran through him. Yeah, it's true. He did mention that the way we got bit was the same, similar how it happened to him. It's not like he chose it, it just happened, and now he wishes it didn't. What helps you find comfort as a vampire? Other people. Being around other people. I think both human and vampires. Seeing humans still living their happy lives here, that makes me feel warm, and seeing the people in our society, our vision of normal, living out theirs. I just don't like being alone for too long. It makes me start to wonder what I really am, what we really are. But being around others makes me feel less different, calmer, I think. That's probably why I still run to this bar. Okay, is there a meaning behind your necklace? He does have a cross. Yes, I used to be religious. I think I still am. It helps remind me that I'm not alone. His fingers drifted up at the cross, slightly tracing along the metal with a reverb touch. This necklace was a Christmas gift from my mother. I've always treasured it. But it doesn't have any meaning beyond that. I'm sorry if it wasn't the story exactly you hoped for. Heath let out a faint laugh, his hand shifting back to his scarf. How do you normally feed? I drink from glasses as much as I can, but sometimes there are willing donors who come around. I just don't like to feed from them very often. It feels so inhuman. But we're not human, feeding is part of our nature. I know what you mean. I mean, I've been drinking the blood bags, remember? So yeah, I kind of agree. It's a little bit weird. Really? I shouldn't be surprised. You have such a sweet heart. Thank you, Bella. It makes me happy knowing that I'm not alone. Alright, let's ask about Randall. He hates me. The only reason he ever comes into the bar is to spend time with other Mavar, and when he doesn't ignore me, he's giving me disgusted looks. We used to deal with each other's little better over time. We grew further and further apart. The stronger Randall got, the more he seemed to hate me. Why though? He never said he hated him, right? He was just like, oh, he's just a kid. Remember he said in the beginning? I don't know if it's because of the war or because we began to understand each other's natures more. We're just total opposites. Do you know anything about his past? I think you could find common ground if you really tried. He doesn't want to try, Bella. It isn't like I hate him or bear any grudges against him, but it's alright. Some people just don't mix. What about Markus? We never really gotten along. Markus and me. His philosophy is just so dark and cynical. I'm sure you've already seen it yourself. Yeah, I could tell there's some friction between Markus and Heath. You can tell it's so obvious. He and I aren't enemies, but I know he doesn't like me, and that makes it very uncomfortable for me to be around him. Is there a reason why he doesn't like you? Do you know how old he is? He's never mentioned anything directly, if that's what you mean. Markus isn't outright abrasive like Randall is, but he's always a little cold to me. Shiraz works with him sometimes, so I deal with him when he's around. He attempts to put on a smile, but it turns out more like a grimace. What about Shiraz? Shiraz is a very strong woman, one of the strongest I've met. His response is a little slow, words more cautious than normal. But sometimes I think her strength, the way she's so determined to make it safe, lawful society for us, is her biggest weakness. She focuses on the whole instead of the parts, the society instead of the individual people inside of it. The good of many over the few, so she doesn't let herself get too attached to people easily, or tries not to. Do you like working for her? Is she attached to you? That's a very good question. If you haven't figured out the answer, please tell me. Heath let out a short laugh. So soon, No, but really, thank you for coming to talk to me. Reaching out to pull out a cigarette, he slowly turned away. Should I go to the vampires? Curious, I started wandering towards the young group of vampires nearby. As I got closer, I realized they were whispering and pointing at a man further down the bar. He was huddled off by himself, shifting uncomfortably as he nursed his drink. Hey, are you Bella? One of the vampires suddenly reached out and tapped my arm, offering me a hopeful grin. Could you introduce us, please? She nodded towards the man, who was slowly shrinking further away. Yeah, could you please? We're from San Fran, but we heard so much about him. We know you're friends. We did our research. The two other vampires chimed in eagerly. I've never seen him before in my life. Sure, I'd be happy to. I don't think I know who you're talking about. Huh? Why are you exactly like you don't know? I think she's just teasing us or something. Come on, let's go over. The vampire who had tapped me on my arm started to pull me impatiently towards the man. I don't know this guy. Who is this guy? When we stepped beside him, the man reluctantly turned to face me. I think there's been a... Oh my god, he's talking to us! Markus is talking to us! I think I'm gonna faint! Oh, they think he's Markus. And that's right, Markus is somewhat like a celebrity within the vampire realm, right? The moment he opened his mouth, the two of the vampires let out an exciting squeal. Yes, I'm Markus, but spelled with a C, not a... Can I have your autograph, please? How do you know Bella? Did you sire her? Actually, we don't even... Is Bella the only one who can melt your icy exterior? Ah! Yes, fangirls. Why do you keep pretending you're not Markus? We know who you are. Before I knew, we were surrounded by the chattering group. They seemed completely convinced that this man Markus was actually Markus. Markus threw a little plaintive look, but all wailing, please help me in his eyes. Leave him alone. I feel kind of bad for this dude. Oh man, what do you guys are up to? Markus always pulls tricks on other people. Yeah, you're not to fool us, but nice try. Hey, don't let him slip away. Their attention shifting away from me, the Markus fan club swarmed Markus like flies, clearly convinced that he was the real one. They pestered him with a constant stream of questions, asking about everything from his political views to whether he thought the Beatles' White Album was better than Abbey Road. The quiet, fumbling replies he gave were unlike Markus-like, but none of the vampires seemed to notice or care. Some of them shoved things into his hands to an autograph, but he reluctantly etched an M, followed by an ambiguous squiggle. Judging from Marcus's reaction, tonight wasn't the first time this kind of thing happened, and from the defeated look on his face, I figured it probably wouldn't be the last. Eventually, the group started to trickle off, wandering back down the bar. They were apparently satisfied with catching a glimpse of Markus in the wild, and I heard snippets of their delighted gushing as they walked away. Like a wilted plant, Markus drew back against the bar, visibly exhausted. You know, Los Angeles is really a charming place. I like it here. The atmosphere is fantastic. But as my luck would have it, I also share a name and house with the most infamous vampire in the city. He let out a resigned sigh, rubbing 2 fingers against his temple. It would be so nice to have a peaceful time at the bars, enjoying my night like any other average Joe. Is this such an impossible dream? Maybe I should try going by Mark instead? After mumbling wistfully to himself after a few moments, Markus glanced back at me, clearing his throat. Oh well, thanks for trying to clear things up anyway. I'll let my friends know that you're not just the one to make out people's lives more difficult. We're making friends! That's what we need to do! I guess this happens pretty frequently. Have you ever met the real Markus? I'm gonna talk about him. I feel like he doesn't want to talk about Markus. Well, once a week, it's worse for the group from outside of LA, like those people. He grumbled under his breath, but in a passive way of someone who wasn't up for a fighting fate. From what I know, the real Markus likes to pull pranks a lot, so every time I say I'm not Markus, they just think I'm playing around. It's usually not so bad, just a little inconvenient, but then other times, with a quiet, flustered enough, Markus stared very intently into his glass. You know, the kind of the shop Markus runs, right? While sometimes his friends decide to give me gifts that match the store's aesthetic. So probably like... Can deal with assigning the occasional t-shirt, but when somebody shoves a cattail attached to a plug, into my hands at the drugstore, things have gone a little too far. Maybe you could try and clear things up with the real Markus. You have my sympathies. At this point, I think you should just embrace it. I'll just say you have my sympathies. I appreciate it. I'll figure it out somehow. In the meantime, at least the local sex ed nonprofits are getting a steady stream of donations. As Markus shared his lamination with me, I spotted 2 Mavar coming from the bathroom hall nearby. The next moment they froze, staring at us intently. Hey, is that? Holy crap, that's Markus! Their eager gasp rang through the air. Oh, this poor guy, Lord of mercy. Like he'd been shot from a cannon, Markus turned and bolted to the exit, leaving his half-finished glass of blood behind. One of the Mavar ran after him, giggling delighted. And just like that, I was left alone at the bar once again. I left the bar's quiet ambience, returning to the streets. Let's go to Randall's place. I had the driver take me back to the beach, deciding to stop by Randall's place. Randall's directions had been vague, but I followed the strong scent of Mavar to the house by the shore. The door was already unlocked, so I let myself in. This isn't a good idea? The Mavar are kinda, like, intense. Inside, a diverse blend of vampires filled with open space, chatting and laughing over drinks. I noticed Randall in the one corner, surrounded by a group. But when our eyes met, he gave me a friendly wave. Let's talk to Randall. Oh, Black Sabbath and Kiss! Oh my god! Is that like Van Halen too? Oh, Jesus. Anyway, as I approached Randall and his group, he murmured something quickly to them and slipped out of the circle. Hey, Bella, glad you could make it out. This is your first time here, right? How are you liking it so far? Well, I've seen how many vampires just hang out since together. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice. Nice you guys have like a group together. Yeah, I know what you mean. Warms my dead little heart. But you can't imagine Queen in the Isakari partying like this. What would they even do? Play bingo and drink club soda? He let out a snorting laughter, shaking his head. Well, now that you're here, you got any questions about me and Vamplight? There's no sucking blood of dummies get out there for you or anything, but hey, maybe I can help you out somehow? Alright, let's question him about the Mavar. Well, we'll probably have some kind of deep, complicated history, and that I don't know jack about. We got to do around though, medieval factions, secret societies, fighting rings, mafia gangs, a lot of what would have to do, but in textbooks probably had Mavar involved somewhere. He shrugged his gaze briefly, drifting around the living room. As society changed, so do we all vampires. The big difference between us and the rest, well, beyond enhanced senses and the strength and shit, that we're usually part of a group. Lone Mavar, they're pretty rare. Couldn't really tell you why, instinct I guess, and need to be a part of something bigger. Sorry kid, that's all about I got. Cope to being a vampire. Cope, you make it sound like a shitty life. Ever since I became a vampire, I never looked back. The best thing that's ever happened to me. So I don't cope, I try to enjoy things every night. He seems like he wouldn't be wanting to be talking about like political lists, because like the way that, you know, Randall thinks it's like every man for himself, basically, but we don't follow the rules of human rules. He said that, so I'm gonna ask, why the hell do you live on the beach? It's not as bad as you think. Actually, I mean, you're not gonna catch me getting a tan or anything, but I've got some good shades in my room. But I like being near the ocean. It's big and doesn't give a f***. How can it get more inspiring than that? See? But more seriously, this place is far enough from Hollywood and downtown LA that the Isakari don't really f*** with us. I want a clan to be able to hang out anywhere in the city, but hey, better it's rain in hell than rule of heaven, am I right? No, they actually call it Hollywood heaven, though. I guess I gotta ask him this. Yeah, wherein everybody rules themselves. Of course, you're gonna have shitty people doing shitty things, but if you step on someone's toes and there's no law against deserving justice, things work out. We're vampires, we got ways to survive. Somebody can't handle all the night, that's not my problem. See? He doesn't care. I don't know if I can completely agree with that, because, like, I get that there has to be some rule, because, like, vampires are much more powerful than humans. So, I don't know. Hey, it works for animals. We're just animals in a bigger brain. Well, some of us have bigger brains. Just because there are more people that kept alive doesn't mean that it's a better society. It's just a bigger one. Randall shrugs, grimacing briefly. With a faint chuckle, Randall nodded at me once and then turned to rejoin the conversation he had left earlier. Let's talk to the other Mavar. Let's see if we can get some friends. I began drifting between the clusters of Mavar, looking for a conversation to step into. Nobody seemed to know what to make of me, and most of the looks I get were confused, curious, or downright suspicious. My first impression of them, I decided to act. The Mavar seems very intense, but I feel like they're more of a friendly group. Does that make any sense? Like, the Isakari are more collected and, like, more suspicious. And while you get the Golgotha, our house, where we're more deceiving. So I feel like I need to be friendly with them. I wanted to put my best foot forward, so I made sure to act admissibly and easygoing. If anything, the Mavar seemed pretty surprised that I wasn't antagonizing them, as if my affiliation with Therese simply implied that I wanted to burn the house down. The wariness around me didn't exactly fade away, but some of them started to open up, including me little by little in their discussions. So do they like me? By the time I'd spoken with most of the vampires who seemed willing to chat, I feel like I knew the clan a little better. They were about a diverse group as any I've ever seen, and beyond their shared house, there was one thing uniting them: the respect for Randall. All the Mavar obviously admired him, and I heard stories about how he helped so-and-so's brother or inspired somebody to ditch their evil boss and become a free spirit. Some of their tales seemed too heroic and exaggerated to be true, but the Mavar obviously believed them. And it seemed like their belief gave them all the confidence. Slipping out to the beach house, I made my way back across the sand. When I glanced towards the sky, I realized sunrise is on its way, so I decided to head back to my hotel room. It had been an interesting evening, though it was hard to believe that my 6th night as a vampire was already ending. Yet, here I was, steadily adapting to the new world around me, changing in its ways I couldn't yet understand. I returned to my room feeling at least somewhat satisfied, but as I flicked the lights off, settling into the cozy deep of sleep, somewhere in my mind an uneasiness began to shift. This is ridiculous. What on earth are you thinking? Is this another one of your games? An angry, muffled voice slowly pulled me awake. I flicked the light, blinking to clear my vision. That voice sounded like it belonged to Therese, and she was right outside my door? Don't you understand how imperative this is for me to be there? For us to demonstrate strength? I speak frankly, Therese. Another voice. Markus! If you are ever so very eager to have a bullet in your skull, why not ease the process and draw a red crosshair on yourself? Because if you go there tonight, you'll be leaving with JFK's head dressing. There was a long pause. Now, let us speak to her directly instead of squabbling out here like savages. The next moment, I hear a soft click, and my door abruptly swings open. What's going on? Therese and Markus stepped inside, their gaze flickering towards me. I stared back at them from my bed, where I was. Still in my pajamas, resting in my underwear. Can I be naked? I want to be naked. Even though there were bedsheets particularly hiding my body, it didn't make the genius to see that I was naked. You can call down the covers and be like, hey, I have boobs. I'll just leave them where they are. I'm pretty sure they both seen boobs, okay? This guy wears a sex shop and she's like, how old? I don't know. Therese gave me a distasteful look, grimacing slightly. Well, they had barged into my room, so I couldn't be one at fault here. Ah, good evening, Bella. You look... You look certainly comfortable. Markus leered at me through his sunglasses, evidently unfazed by the situation. Oh, but I do hope you'll forgive our intrusion. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Maybe you can knock next time? What the? Get the hell out of here, both of you! Is there a reason for this? Naturally, although don't presume I need a reason to intrude on others. If you're quite done bantering, Shiraz interrupted us testingly, tapping one foot on the ground. Let's get straight to the point, shall we? After all, this matter is time sensitive. I just received a phone call about the event happening tonight. She made a brisk circular motion with one hand as though trying to hurry our conversation up. Randall's clan is holding a gathering, let's say, by the beach. They say it's a tribute to the Mavar who recently lost their lives in fighting, as well as all the other vampires who died fighting thus far. But more importantly, they announced that tonight is a temporary ceasefire on their end, and any Isakari or Golgotha are welcome to join the festivities. A Mavar died. Who was it? Sounds like a trap to me. So tomorrow the fighting will start again? Who died? I know little about her, only that she was one of Randall's staunch admirers. Party wonders if they aren't merely using her death to push their own agenda. Pausing, Shiraz shot a glance towards Markus, her still gray eyes narrowing doubtfully. Regardless, I have decided to attend the gathering myself, with armed guard of course, hoping I may negotiate something with Randall and to communicate my peaceful intentions to the clan. But Markus insisted the two of you attend in my stead. I do indeed. Shiraz's death stare seems to bounce harmlessly off of Markus like a frisbee hitting the tank. Bella has already survived one encounter with Randall, two because I went to his beach house, and from the sounds of it, she came out on top. I am myself happy to vouch for her pluckiness and capability for handling unexpected situations. His grin widened even more deviously. Thus, it would be my great honor to bring her as my +1 to this fine soiree. Happy to go on Shiraz's behalf. Sure, I'm not going back to sleep after this anyway. I kind of agree with Markus because she's the reason why, this whole war thing is happening, and Markus calls her queen bitch. So he hates her. If she shows up there, yeah, she's probably gonna die. So, I'll just say I'm not going back to sleep after this anyway. No, I had no intentions of allowing such a thing. Despite your reluctant agreement, let it be some comfort that you protected Shiraz's life. I would appreciate if you didn't play these games with me, Markus. Cutting in sharply, Shiraz adjusted her glasses, her posture rigid and defensive. We both know that you sold loyalty in all this to yourself. Any concern you have for my safety is just another factor in your grand scheme, whatever that may be. Her tone was prickly, with a subtle differences from the school teacher's voice she often used with me, regardless if I were to confirm or deny such a thing. History has proven to me even armed guards won't protect you from, executed assassinations. He shrugged, his own voice remarkably casual. I know your desires or truths may be clouding your judgment, but you are, dare I say, nearly acting emotional about it all. For a moment, I thought Shiraz might fly into rage, rolling around and shut on Markus's face. It felt like Markus was deliberately provoking her, prodding a bear with a stick. I suppose there is a fragment of truth in what you say, but it seems his gamble wasn't going on the end with him getting mauled. Nonetheless, I still... Wonderful! Let's proceed outside then, Bella. Well, after you grab yourself in something a little warmer, maybe. I'll just say yes, sir! With a defeated sigh, Shiraz shook her head, a hint of confusion in her scowl. I'll never be able to decipher you, Markus. You, of all people, willingly to head out to a place swarming with Mavar. I suppose you two will have an easier time gathering information, and there is still a chance that you'll be less aggressive towards Bella than any of us. See, Randall likes me, so it's okay. I talked to the Mavar. They're suspicious of me, but they're not, angry at me. Randall has great respect for Markus, so I think Markus is fine. But make sure you leave a favorable impression, and if you can, convey to Randall we must attempt another meeting. No doubt matters will play out that way. Now Markus's eyes flicked away from Shiraz, glinting me through his sunglasses. Then, for the matter of transportation, I'll arrange for a car other than my own, with a train driver who will kindly escort you to the beach. Are you feeling alright, my queen? You emphasized it on your words in awfully bizarre fashion. Because she knows we stole her car and he drove in Fast and the Furious. Lost for a reply, Shiraz just made a pinch of the bridge of her nose. With that, they left the room together, finally letting me get dressed. Once I was ready, Markus led me outside and we climbed into the car that had been carefully prepared for us. After last time, Shiraz was obviously taking no chances. Alright guys, I'm gonna end this episode here of Red Embrace Hollywood. So, I think the whole point of us talking to the other vampires was a good idea because, again, it will probably help us in this next part since we do have to, like, kind of make a truce with everyone. So I'm very glad that I talked to Heath and Marcus and Randall as well. So, like, all of them. But I don't know what's gonna happen. Someone may get aggressive because, again, I can trust Randall, I can trust Heath, I can trust Marcus, at least for now, but I don't know about the groups. Like, the houses? Because the Mavar people are very intense, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, let me know in the comments what you think, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button for more episodes of Red Embrace Hollywood. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye!